I was scrolling through my queue the other night and I realized something. Fiction, especially romantic fiction, is kind of obsessed with the fake relationship. It's
Yeah.
it's just everywhere. You see it in like Hallmark movies, you see it in fan fiction, even massive blockbusters. It's like we all collectively decided the best way to fall in love is to just pretend you're already doing it.
It is definitely a staple. It's right up there with enemies to lovers
Mm,
or, there was only one bed.
exactly.
It works because it forces proximity. It takes two people who might not otherwise even talk and basically shackles them together with a secret.
Right, but usually, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, the stakes are pretty low. It's like, oh no, I need a date for my sister's wedding, so my mom gets off my back.
Or I need to look successful for my high school reunion.
Yes, it's all just social awkwardness.
Okay.
But the deep dive we are doing today, it takes that trope and puts it in a setting where the stakes are usually life or death. We're talking about the police force.
Exactly. We're looking at a stack of materials on the upcoming anime adaptation of Isshiki Wants to Know About Love, or Ishiki-san wa Koi of Shiratai. And you're right to point out the setting, because that completely changes the flavor of the trope.
I have to admit, when I first saw the title, Isshiki Wants to Know About Love, I thought, okay, this sounds cute,
Yeah.
a little fluffy. But looking at the source material you sent over, this is not just fluff. There are crime scenes involved.
There are, and that is what we're here to unpack. We aren't just going to read the press release. We need to look at the creative DNA of this project, the staff, the studio, the psychology of the characters, to figure out if this is going to be just another generic rom-com or something that actually says something interesting.
Okay, let's start with the basics then, the premise. We have a fake dating scenario inside a police precinct. How does that even work? I feel like HR would have an absolute field day with this.
Oh, it is definitely an HR nightmare just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
The story centers on Inspector Isshiki. Her full name is Rina Milliford Isshiki.
Rina Milliford Isshiki. Wow, that sounds aristocratic.
She definitely has an air of dignity about her. The source material describes her as a heroine, but here's the key phrase that really stood out to me. She's marooned in a world of seriousness.
Marooned in seriousness. That's a really evocative description. It makes her sound so isolated. Like she's not just serious because she wants to be. She's like stuck there.
Precisely. She's an inspector, so that's a high rank.
Yeah.
She is competent, she is by the book, and she's probably very, very intimidating to her subordinates. But the twist, and this is the catalyst for the whole show, is that she has absolutely zero experience with romance. None at all.
So she can dismantle a criminal syndicate, but she probably freezes up if someone holds eye contact for too long.
That's the implication, yeah. It creates this massive vulnerability gap. And usually in these stories, the character tries to hide that vulnerability. But here, she's actually trying to tackle an unexpected hurdle at work and address her own unease.
Wait, hold on there. An unexpected hurdle at work. So she's not fake dating just to get a boyfriend. She's doing it for the job.
The sources are a little vague on the specific case details, probably to avoid spoilers, but yes. The fake relationship is a scheme she hatches to solve work-related troubles.
That is just wild. I mean, can you imagine walking into your office and thinking, you know what? The only way to close this quarterly report is to pretend to date the guy in the next cubicle. It's absurd.
It is absurd, but you have to remember, this is a comedy. The absurdity is the whole vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And the person she chooses to enact this scheme with is a detective Rokotanda.
Okay, tell me about Rukutanda, because if she's the straight man, so to speak, he has to be the agent of chaos, right?
He is described as charming, yet problematic.
Problematic. That is a very loaded word in 2026, especially for a cop. Are we talking like loose cannon who breaks the rules to get justice, or are we talking actually a bad person?
I think in the context of this genre, problematic usually just refers to his personality clashing with hers. He's the foil. If she is all order, he's a little bit of entropy. He's charming, which suggests he can handle the social situations that she can't, but he probably causes massive headaches for her structured world.
So it's a power dynamic thing. She's the inspector, he's the detective, she outranks him. But in this fake relationship, that whole hierarchy has to just disappear, or at least get really, really muddy.
And that's where the romantic roller coaster comes in. The source material promises rivalry, misadventures, and the inevitable chaos. Think about it. They have to perform this romance in front of their colleagues. Colleagues who are all trained detectives.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that. Their audience, the people they're trying to fool, are literally professional lie detectors.
Exactly. The tension isn't just, will we get caught by my mom? It's, will we get caught by the guy who interrogates suspects for a living?
That raises the stakes so much. But you mentioned earlier that this isn't just a gag manga. The sources talk about relatable struggles.
Yes, it's adapted from a manga by Ayuno Aragi, and it's serialized in Kadokawa's Monthly Shonen Ace.
Shonen Ace. Okay, let's pause on that for a second. For listeners who don't speak publishing industry, shonen usually targets a young male demographic. It's mostly action, adventure, maybe some high-energy comedy. It's not really where you'd usually go for a deep, slow burn, emotional romance.
That's a fair generalization, yeah, but shonen rom-coms have their own very specific flavor. They tend to be high energy. They really rely on big events and situations. The fact that it's in Ace suggests this isn't going to be some quiet, introspective drama where they just stare out of windows for 20 minutes. It's going to move.
So we should expect a fast pace, a lot of physical comedy, maybe.
Right. But the source material explicitly mentions this blend of three elements: comedy, romance, and a pinch of mystery.
Well, I'd hope there's a mystery. They're police officers. If there wasn't a mystery, they should probably be fired.
You'd be surprised how often police anime kind of forget the police work. But here, the mystery seems to be the backdrop for the theme. The source mentions the core theme is navigating convoluted feelings without losing oneself.
Without losing oneself. That connects right back to what we said about Isshiki being marooned in seriousness. If she puts on this mask of girl in love, she's pretending to be someone she isn't. Does the source material hint at, like, an identity crisis?
It definitely implies that the line between the mask and the face starts to blur. And that brings us to the creative team, because a premise like this is so easy to screw up. If you lean too hard into the comedy, the romance feels fake. If you lean too hard into the police work, the romance feels totally out of place. You need a very specific team to get this balance right.
So who do we have? Who is steering the ship on this?
The director is Kazuya Komai.
Kazuya Komai. Okay. What does he bring to the table?
Komai is directing, but the studio is Sakura Create. And the source makes a very specific point about Sakura Create's reputation. They're known for a vibrant animation style.
Vibrant. See, when I think police procedural, I think grit. I think shadows, rain, noir aesthetics. I don't usually think vibrant.
That's the contrast I think they're going for.
Yeah.
If you look at the teaser visual that's mentioned in the source, which centers on Inspector Isshiki, it's charming. It pops. It suggests the show is viewing this world through the lens of the romance, not the lens of the crime.
That's a really interesting take. So the visuals are meant to reinforce the fake happiness of the relationship rather than the grim reality of the job.
Possibly. Or it just highlights the absurdity of it all. Bright colors can make the awkward moments feel even sharper. But the name on the staff list that actually made me sit up and take notice wasn't the director. It was the person handling the narrative structure or series composition.
Deko Akao.
Yes.
Okay, I recognize the name, but help me out. For the listener who watches anime but doesn't, read the credits, what does a series composer actually do? Is that the person writing the script?
Think of the series composer as the architect of the show. They might write a few individual episodes, but their main job is to take all the source material, the manga volumes, and map them onto a 12-episode season. They decide the pacing. They decide when the emotional beats are going to land.
So they control the flow of the whole story.
Exactly. And the source describes Akao as someone no stranger to capturing nuanced emotional dynamics.
Nuanced emotional dynamics. That is high praise. That suggests we aren't just getting pratfalls and slapstick.
It suggests that Akao is going to take the zero experience aspect of Inspector Isshiki seriously. It's easy to write a character who is just bad at love for laughs. It's much, much harder to write a character who is genuinely lonely or confused or maybe even terrified of vulnerability and make that funny and sad at the same time. That's Akao's wheelhouse.
That makes me so much more interested because if it's just 12 episodes of oops, I almost held his hand, I'm going to tune out. But if it's I'm terrified that if I hold his hand, I lose my authority as an inspector, well, that's a real conflict.
And that conflict is going to be supported by the character designs from Shohei Hamaguchi. The goal stated in the source is to create a visually appealing experience for both manga fans and newcomers.
Which is always the tightrope you have to walk, isn't it? You have to keep the diehards happy, but you have to bring in the casuals.
And with a character like Isshiki, the design is just crucial. She has to look stern enough to be an inspector, but also cute enough to be a rom-com lead. If she looks too tough, the romance doesn't sell. If she looks too soft, the police rank doesn't sell.
It's the Gatmo, right? The difference between the professional exterior and the total internal mess.
Exactly.
So we have a solid team. Komai, Akao, Hamaguchi. We have a vibrant studio in Sakura Create. Do we have a date? When can I actually judge this for myself?
Unfortunately, we're in the buzz-building phase. The source confirms that promotional materials are rolling out, and there is that charming teaser visual, but no official release date has been announced yet.
The dreaded TBA.
It builds anticipation. It gives us time to speculate.
So let's speculate on the audience then. Who is this show actually for? Because it feels like a really weird mix.
The source casts a wide net. It mentions die-hard romantics, obviously. But it also explicitly targets people looking for a quirky story.
Quirky is a good word for it.
I think it's for the viewer who is maybe a little burnt out on the high school setting. If you're tired of watching teenagers fret about exams, this offers adult characters with jobs, with real responsibilities, freaking out about love.
Which, let's be honest, is way more relatable for a lot of us.
It is. It's a guilty pleasure in the making, as the source puts it. But I think it appeals to anyone who likes that gap dynamic, the contrast between high competency in one area and total incompetence in another.
I think that's the key. We all know people, or maybe we are people, who are total bosses at work. You can run a meeting, manage a budget, solve a crisis, but then you have to text someone you like, and suddenly you're a toddler.
Inspector Isshiki is just that dynamic amplified to the absolute extreme. She can solve a murder, but she can't solve a date.
So what's the verdict? Is Miss Isshiki on the must-watch list?
I think it's on the must-check-out list. The combination of Deiko Akao on the script and a police procedural setting is just it's unique enough to warrant a look. If they can stick the landing on the tone balancing the crime with the comedy, it could be a real standout.
It sounds like it has the potential to be either a massive hit or a complete tonal mess, and honestly, I'm excited for either one.
High risk, high reward.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to chew on. We've been talking about this fake relationship trope.
Right.
And usually we focus on the love part. But I want to go back to the police part. In law enforcement, your life literally depends on trust. You have to trust your partner to have your back.
That is the absolute foundation of the job.
So here's the provocative thought for the day. In a story where two partners are actively lying to each other about their feelings, building a relationship on a total fabrication, how does that corruption affect their ability to do their actual jobs?
That is a fascinating angle. If I can't trust you to be honest about whether you like me, can I really trust you to clear a room with me?
Exactly. At what point does the mask of the fake relationship start to crack the foundation of their professional partnership? And can a relationship built on a lie ever truly transition into honest love? Or is it always going to be poisoned by how it started?
That is the question Inspector Isshiki is going to have to answer. And I have a feeling the answer isn't going to be simple.
It never is. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Keep an eye out for the official homepage for Mrs. Isshiki Wants to Know About Love. That's where all the sneak peeks will drop. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious.